lonely cowboy bought a ranch for $50 and was stunned to discover 3 Apache women waiting there. Jed was a cowboy by trade, but more than that, he was a drifter. He worked where work appeared and moved on when it ended. People came and went from his life, but nothing ever stayed. At 38 years old, Jed felt tired in a way sleep could not fix. One afternoon, while passing through a half-forgotten frontier town called Red Willow, Jed noticed a paper nailed crookedly to the side of the general store. The edges were yellowed, and the ink was faded, as if it had been waiting for someone who never came. Ranch for sale, $50, no questions asked. Jed stopped walking. $50 for a ranch was impossible. Even the worst land cost more than that. He pulled the paper free and read it again. There was an address written below, leading far into dry country where maps often ended. The storekeeper, an old man with tired eyes, noticed Jed staring. "You don't want that place," the man said flatly. Jed folded the paper. "Why's that?" The storekeeper shrugged. "People buy it, people leave it, some don't even stay the night." "That don't explain much," Jed replied. The old man leaned closer. "Land remembers things. Some places don't want to be owned." Jed thanked him and walked away, but the words followed him. That night Jed sat by his campfire, the paper resting on his knee. $50 was nearly all he had, but something about the ad felt different. He was tired of moving, tired of sleeping under stars that never changed. Maybe the land didn't want to be owned, but maybe it was waiting. By morning, his decision was made. The ranch sat far beyond any road that deserved the name. Jed followed old wagon tracks, then dry riverbeds, then nothing at all. The land stretched wide and quiet, broken only by wind and distant hills. After 2 days of travel, he saw it. A weathered gate leaned between 2 posts, barely standing. Beyond it, grass moved in slow waves, greener than the land around it. A farmhouse rested at the center, old but strong, its roof still whole, its walls unbroken. Jed felt it then. The land was watching. He pushed the gate open. It did not creak. That bothered him more than if it had screamed. Jed rode slowly toward the house, hand near his side, eyes sharp. There were no animals, no smoke, no sound, but the place did not feel empty. It felt held. He dismounted and tied his horse. The air smelled clean, like rain that hadn't fallen yet. The porch boards were solid. The door opened easily. Inside, the house was simple but cared for. Dust lay light on the floor as if it had settled recently. A table stood straight. Chairs were placed neatly. Nothing was broken, nothing was stolen. Someone had been here. Jed stepped deeper inside, checking each room. 2 bedrooms, a kitchen with clean shelves, a fireplace with cold ashes that were not old. Then he heard it. A soft sound, footsteps. Jed turned. 3 figures stood in the doorway behind him. They had entered without a sound. Jed raised his hand slowly. "I don't want trouble," he said. The women did not move. They were strong and calm, standing with confidence that did not need weapons. Their eyes were sharp, their posture steady. They wore practical clothing suited for travel and survival. Each of them carried herself like someone who belonged exactly where she stood. The one in the center spoke first. "You bought this land," she said. It was not a question. "Yes," Jed replied carefully. "Paid for it fair." She studied him. "Many have said that." Another woman stepped forward. "They did not stay." Jed swallowed. "I aim to." The third woman watched him closely, saying nothing. Her gaze felt heavier than the others, as if she were measuring something deeper than words. The first woman nodded once. "Then you should know where you stand." She stepped aside and gestured toward the land outside. "This ranch is not empty," she continued. "It has history. It has purpose." Jed lowered his hand slowly. "My name's Jed Kane. I'm not looking to take what ain't mine. I just want a place to live." Silence followed. Finally, the quiet woman spoke. "Words are easy." Jed met her gaze. "So is leaving. I haven't." That earned him a pause. The center woman introduced herself. "My name is Ahida. This is Naeli." She gestured to the second woman. "And Kiona." The quiet one inclined her head slightly. "We are guardians of this land," Aida said. "Our people have watched it longer than memory allows." Jed frowned. "Then why sell it?" Naomi answered. "Because the land chooses." Jed almost laughed, but something in her tone stopped him. Aida continued, "The land responds to humans differently than others. It listens. It waits." Jed looked around the house again. "You saying this place is alive?" "In a way," Kiona said softly. A low hum vibrated through the floor so faint Jed thought he imagined it. His horse outside snorted. Jed exhaled slowly. "I don't pretend to understand any of this, but I won't hurt this place. I won't sell it. And I won't run." The women exchanged glances. Aida nodded. "Then you will be tested." Before Jed could respond, the floor beneath them shifted. The walls shimmered, not moving, not changing, but revealing lines of faint light hidden within the wood and stone. Symbols glowed briefly, then faded. Jed stepped back. "What in the world?" "This ranch," Naomi said, "was built on something older than any nation, older than any tribe." Aida met Jed's eyes. "You were allowed to find it." The hum grew stronger. Outside, the wind changed direction. Jed felt fear, but also something else, purpose. "If this is a test," Jed said, "I'll face it." Kiona smiled faintly. "That is why you are still here." The lights faded. The house returned to normal. Silence settled once more. Aida turned toward the door. "Come, the land will want to see you." Jed followed them outside, heart pounding, mind racing. As he stepped onto the porch, the grass rippled outward from his boots like water responding to a stone. The ranch was not just land. It was waiting. And Jed Kane had finally found something that did not want him to leave. The wind blew gently across the ranch, carrying with it the scent of wild grass and distant hills. Jedediah Kane stood beside the three women, Aida, Naomi, and Kiona, feeling the weight of the land pressing quietly against him. The air was still, almost expectant, as if the ranch itself waited for something to happen. Jed shifted his boots against the soft soil. "So," he said, trying to sound casual, "you said this land has history. Can you tell me more?" Aida's eyes scanned the horizon. "History is not always told in words," she said. "It is felt, remembered, and protected. Our ancestors watched over this ranch long before it had a name. They knew it was special." Jed nodded slowly, trying to absorb her words. "Special in what way?" Naomi stepped forward, brushing a strand of dark hair from her face. "It is alive," she said. "Not like animals or humans. It listens, it remembers, and it reacts. It has secrets we are sworn to guard." Kiona, who had remained quiet so far, finally spoke. "And it chooses who may stay. Not everyone is welcome here." Jed swallowed. The thought sent a chill through him, though the air was warm. "And you're saying it chose me?" Aida nodded. "Yes, it sensed something in you." Jed looked down at his boots. He had spent his whole life moving from one place to another, always searching for something he could never name. "I don't feel special," he admitted. "I'm just a man who rides and works with horses. That's it." Aida's expression softened. "Sometimes that is enough." The women led Jed toward the main pasture. As they walked, they moved with a grace and confidence that reminded Jed of the way wild animals moved through open land. Their steps were quiet, deliberate, and perfectly balanced with the rhythm of the ranch. "This land," Aida explained, "has hidden places built for protection. Our people use them to hide from danger and to store knowledge." She pointed toward a line of hills in the distance. "Many have tried to take it, to claim it for themselves. Few have understood it. None have stayed." Jed glanced at the hills. They were simple in appearance, just rolling rises covered in grass and sparse trees, but he could feel something in them, a hidden strength that made the air feel heavier. "And you three, you stayed," Naomi smiled faintly. "We are its guardians. It was our choice, our duty." Kiona added quietly, "We were waiting for someone who could understand it and use it wisely." Jed's mind raced. He had thought he came here to find a quiet place to live, but now he realized the ranch was not just land. It was something far older, far deeper, and somehow it had chosen him. They reached the edge of a small grove. The trees here were older, taller, and straighter than any Jed had seen nearby. Sunlight broke through the branches in long shafts, lighting up the soft ground with golden streaks. Ahida stopped and knelt, brushing the soil with her hand. "The land remembers those who walk on it," she said softly. "It recognizes respect. It senses fear and greed." Jed crouched beside her. "How do I show respect?" "You listen," Kiona said. "You observe, you do not take more than you need, and you honor the life here in all its forms." Jed nodded slowly. It sounded simple enough in words, but he could feel the weight of it. The land was alive, yes, but it was also patient. It had waited years, perhaps decades, for someone like him. Suddenly, the ground under Jed's hand trembled slightly. Not violently, just a soft vibration that ran through his fingertips. He jerked back. "It knows you are here," Naomi said. "It tests those who arrive." Jed laughed nervously. "Tests, huh? And what if I fail?" Ahida looked at him with eyes that seemed older than time itself. "Then it does not allow you to stay." The words were simple, but their meaning sank deep into Jed's heart. This was not just a place to live. This was a place that demanded understanding, courage, and care. Over the next few hours, the women showed Jed more of the ranch. They led him to an old barn, strong and quiet. Inside, sunlight fell through cracks in the wood, illuminating rows of old tools, saddles, and jars filled with preserved seeds. "These were left by our ancestors," Ahida explained. "They knew the land would survive if it had care. They also left warnings." Jed picked up a small, worn book. The pages were filled with drawings, animals, stars, and strange symbols he did not recognize. "What's this?" he asked. "It is knowledge," Naomi said. "The land teaches those who listen. The symbols are older than any story you know. They are instructions, not just drawings." Jed ran his fingers over the pages. The lines and shapes seemed to shift slightly under his touch. For a moment, he wondered if the book was alive too. "You must understand," Kiona said, her voice steady. "This land can be dangerous. It protects itself. It is not a place for the careless or greedy." Jed nodded. "I understand. I won't take it for granted." That evening, the four of them sat outside the house. The sun dipped behind the hills and the sky became a soft orange, then a deep purple. Jed's horse grazed nearby and the wind whispered through the trees. Ahida broke the silence. "Many who come here see only the surface. They see grass, trees, and buildings, but they do not see the spirit beneath. You have seen a part of it." Jed shrugged. "Maybe I just noticed something others didn't, or maybe I was lucky." "Luck is not enough," Naomi said. "The land chooses carefully." Jed looked at the women. They were not trying to scare him or make him doubt himself. They were telling the truth. And for the first time in his life, he felt like he belonged somewhere. "I want to learn," he said. "Teach me. I'll work hard and I'll listen." Ahida smiled faintly. "Then the land will teach you, but first you must understand the rules." She stood and led them to a small clearing. At the center was a stone circle, overgrown but still intact. Carvings ran along the edges, faint but visible in the twilight. "These markings," Ahida explained, "are warnings, lessons, and memories. Our ancestors put them here for guidance. Many cannot read them, few can understand." Jed knelt and traced a finger over a symbol. It pulsed softly beneath his touch. The sensation was strange, like the stone was alive but calm, not threatening. "The land speaks through symbols, through patterns, and through life itself," Kiona said quietly. "You must learn to notice, to feel, to act." Jed swallowed. "And if I fail," Ahida shook her head, "you will learn, and if you truly listen, you will not fail." That night Jed slept outside for the first time on the ranch. The air was cooler than he expected, filled with the scent of pine and earth. Stars stretched across the sky like silver threads. He thought of the women, Ahida, Naomi, and Kiona, and the trust they had placed in him. He thought of the land, quiet yet alive, holding secrets older than any human memory. And he thought of himself, a simple cowboy who had wandered too long, finally standing in a place that chose him. For the first time, Jed did not feel alone. The ranch waited, the women watched, and the land whispered softly to him. Jed Kane understood one simple truth. His life was about to change, in ways he could not yet imagine. And he was ready. The next morning, Jedediah Kane woke to the smell of fresh coffee and the soft sound of horses shifting in the stables. The sun had just begun to climb over the hills, painting the ranch in gold and shadow. He stretched and took a deep breath. Today felt different. He could feel it in his bones. The land seemed to hum faintly beneath his boots. Ahiita was already outside, tending to the small garden near the house. She moved with quiet precision, planting seeds, brushing soil over roots, and whispering words Jed could not understand. Nayeli and Kiona appeared from the barn, carrying water and tools. The three women worked together with the ease of people who had shared a lifetime of knowledge. Yet Jed could see the care they took in each motion, as if the land itself watched their hands. "Morning," Jed said, trying to sound casual though his chest felt tight with anticipation. Ahiita looked up and smiled faintly. "Morning, Jed. Are you ready for today?" "For what?" Jed asked. Ahiita tilted her head toward the hills. "For the land to show you its secrets." Jed raised an eyebrow. "Secrets?" Nayeli stepped forward, her eyes bright. "This ranch is more than it seems. You've felt it, haven't you? The hum beneath your feet, the way the wind moves through the trees differently than elsewhere. You are standing on something that has waited centuries for humans to understand it." Jed frowned. "Something like what?" Kiona walked to a clearing a short distance from the house. "Come and see. The land speaks in ways you are just beginning to notice." Jed followed the three women through the fields. The grass seemed to bend slightly as they walked, like waves in water. Every step made a faint vibration run through the soles of his boots. He could not explain it, but it felt alive. It felt aware. When they reached the clearing, Jed's eyes widened. In the center, partially hidden by grass and dirt, was a structure. It was not a building exactly. It looked like a large stone circle at first, but the edges were sharp, metallic, and covered with strange markings. Faint lines of light pulsed along its surface. "What is this?" Jed whispered. Ahiita knelt by the structure and ran her hand over one of the glowing lines. "This is the heart of the land," she said. "It was placed here by beings older than humans, older than our ancestors. It is powerful, and it waits for humans to awaken it." Jed blinked. "Aliens?" Nayeli nodded. "Yes. Long ago they visited this world and left pieces of themselves behind. Most of it is dormant, waiting for those who can understand and respect it. That is why we are here. And why you were allowed to find this ranch." Jed's mind raced. He had always believed in hard work, horses, and survival skills. Aliens, ancient technology, and a living ranch that waited for humans. It was too much. But somehow, the evidence was right in front of him. "Why me?" he asked. "Why now?" Kiona looked at him with steady eyes. "Because humans have something these machines cannot understand: intuition, creativity, adaptability. You can think beyond the patterns and rules that other beings follow. That is what the land needs." Jed swallowed hard. "So what do I do?" Ahiita smiled faintly. "You listen, you touch, and you feel. You learn from the land and from us. Only then can it awaken." The women guided Jed through the clearing, showing him the lines of energy pulsing through the structure. When he placed his hand on the metal, a soft vibration ran through his arm. It was not painful, but it was strong, like a heartbeat hidden beneath the earth. "Close your eyes," Nayeli instructed. "Listen to it. Let it speak to you." Jed did as he was told. At first he heard nothing. But then, slowly, faint images appeared in his mind, shapes, patterns, and flashes of light. He saw rivers forming, animals moving across plains, and strange machines working in ways he could not understand. The land seemed to be telling him its history, showing him its secrets without words. "This is incredible," Jed whispered. Apache nodded. You are feeling its memory. The land remembers everything that has happened here. The pulsing beneath his hand grew stronger. Jed felt a surge of energy travel through him, and for a moment he was afraid. But then the fear passed, replaced by clarity. He could feel how the pieces fit together, how the lines of energy connected across the ranch. It responds to you, Kiona said softly. It recognizes your presence, but that is only the beginning. Jed opened his eyes and looked around. The structure seemed to glow brighter, lines of light forming patterns he had never seen. He realized the ranch was not just alive, it was waiting for him to understand how to use it. Over the next few hours, the women taught Jed how to read the symbols, how to follow the energy lines, and how to sense the land's reactions. It was difficult work. Jed's hands ached from touching the metallic surfaces, and his mind spun from trying to understand the patterns. But each time he made progress, the land seemed to respond, glowing brighter and humming louder. At one point, a faint light shot up from the structure into the sky, and Jed instinctively ducked. "What was that?" he asked. Ahida's eyes were serious. "It is a signal. The land communicates with other places that share its kind. Most cannot understand it, but humans, sometimes we can." Jed felt a mix of awe and fear. "Other places?" "Yes," Naeli said. "This is not the only site. There are others scattered across the world, but they wait for the right humans to awaken them." Jed shook his head. "I never imagined I'm just a cowboy." "You are more than that," Kiona said. "You have the qualities needed: courage, intelligence, and respect. Without them, none of this could happen." Jed nodded slowly, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. This ranch was not just land. It was alive, powerful, and waiting for someone who could understand it. And now he had been chosen. By midday, Jed began to experiment with the energy lines on his own. He moved his hands across the metallic surfaces, trying different sequences, pressing symbols in patterns he felt instinctively. The land responded. Lights pulsed faster, and the ground beneath him vibrated in rhythm with his actions. Suddenly, a burst of energy shot up from the structure, forming a shimmering dome over the clearing. Jed stepped back, eyes wide. What's happening?" Ahida smiled. "You are awakening it. Slowly, carefully, it is learning to trust you," Naeli added, "but be mindful. It is powerful. It will respond to your thoughts and emotions as well as your actions." Jed took a deep breath. He realized that this was no ordinary ranch. This was a place of power, a place that tested humans in ways few could survive. And he understood now that the women were not just guardians. They were guides, teaching him how to become one as well. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Jed stood in the clearing, exhausted but exhilarated. The land hummed beneath his feet, pulsing in time with his heartbeat. The women watched him silently, proud but cautious. "You have done well today," Ahida said. "But this is only the beginning. The land will continue to test you. It will show you wonders and dangers alike." Jed nodded. "I understand. I want to learn. I want to protect it." Naeli placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then you will. But remember, this is not just about power. It is about respect. Use it wisely." Kiona added softly, "And know that others may come seeking it. Some will not understand. Some will try to take it. The land will need you to protect it." Jed looked around the clearing. The metallic structure, the glowing lines, the living grass and trees, it was all alive, all aware, all waiting for him. He realized that he was no longer just a cowboy. He was part of something greater, and he was ready. That night, as Jed lay under the stars, he thought about the day's events. The land had spoken to him, and he had listened. He had touched its secrets, felt its memory, and seen glimpses of its power. He felt a new kind of pride, not in himself, but in being trusted. For the first time in his life, Jed did not feel small or alone. He belonged here. He was part of the land, part of the history, and part of the future. The ranch waited, alive and patient, knowing that its secrets were now in the hands of someone who could understand them. And Jed Kane, the lonely cowboy, was ready to rise to the challenge. The morning sun spilled across the ranch, turning the grass into waves of gold. Jedediah Kane moved through the clearing with careful steps, his hands brushing lightly over the glowing lines of the ancient structure. Today, the land hummed differently, faster, more urgently. He felt it in his bones. Something was coming. Ahieda, Nayeli, and Kiona stood near him, calm but alert. The land senses outsiders, Ahieda said, her voice low. Something approaches. Jed frowned. Outsiders who? Nayeli pointed to the hills in the distance. Scavengers, they do not understand the land. They only seek what it hides. Jed squinted. At first he saw nothing. Then faint shapes appeared against the horizon, small, sleek vehicles hovering slightly above the ground. They were unlike anything Jed had seen on Earth. Metal glinted in the sunlight, moving in patterns that seemed too organized to be natural. They're here for the land, Kiona said, and they do not care who gets hurt. Jed's heart pounded. He had faced danger before, wild animals, storms, even gunfights, but this was different. These creatures were intelligent, armed with technology far beyond his imagination. And yet he felt something deep within him. The land had chosen him, and he would not fail it. The scavengers arrived faster than expected. Their vehicles touched the edges of the ranch, scanning and probing with beams of light. They did not hesitate, moving as if the ranch belonged to them by right. Jed clenched his fists. They'll come for the structure first, Ahieda said. We cannot let them activate it. If they do, the land could be destroyed. Jed nodded. Then we stop them. The women moved with purpose. Nayeli and Kiona took positions near the trees, blending with the shadows. Ahieda stayed by the structure, guiding Jed's hands to certain energy lines. The land responded instantly, pulsing brighter as if preparing for the coming conflict. Jed felt a rush of adrenaline. He had never been part of something like this, but he trusted the women and he trusted the land. Together, they had a chance. The scavengers' vehicles hovered closer, scanning the clearing. One beam of light swept across the structure, and the metallic lines flared brightly. Jed stepped forward, placing his hands on the surface. The vibration ran up his arms, stronger than ever before. Focus, Ahieda shouted. Think of the land as part of you. Jed closed his eyes and did as she said. He imagined the ranch as a living being, with hills for arms, trees for fingers, and the glowing structure as its heart. He felt the energy pulse through him, linking his movements with the land's reactions. A wave of light shot from the structure, forming a barrier around the clearing. The scavengers' vehicles hit it and bounced back, their engines screaming. Jed opened his eyes. The energy dome shimmered like water, glowing with the rhythm of his heartbeat. They're trying to break through, Nayeli said, her voice tense. But you can control it. You can protect the land. Jed's hands moved instinctively across the lines, pressing, tracing, and activating sequences he did not consciously understand. The dome responded, stretching taller and stronger, enveloping the trees and the house. The scavengers' beams reflected off the surface, unable to penetrate. The first attack came. One of the scavenger vehicles hovered low, firing a stream of energy toward the dome. The blast struck the barrier and ricocheted, hitting another vehicle. Sparks flew and metal groaned. Jed stumbled but kept his hands on the structure, feeling the land shudder under the impact. Keep going, Kiona shouted. Do not falter. Jed's mind raced. He realized that the scavengers were not just attacking, they were testing him, probing for weakness. He adjusted his movements, mimicking the flow of the land, guiding the energy through the dome like water through a channel. The barrier pulsed, pushing back the attackers, forcing them to retreat slightly. Ahieda joined him, placing her hands beside his. Together, they directed the energy more precisely. Light arced from the dome, wrapping around the trees and the hills, creating barriers, traps, and defenses. The land itself seemed to fight through them. The scavengers tried a different approach. Several vehicles sped around the hills, attempting to flank the clearing. Jed noticed their movement and reacted instinctively, activating hidden energy lines beneath the soil. Small jets of light shot up, creating temporary walls and barriers in their path. The scavengers were forced to veer, their formations breaking. "Good," Naeli said. "You are learning to work with it. The land responds to humans in ways no machine can predict." Jed felt a surge of pride. Humans had something the scavengers did not: intuition, creativity, and a bond with the land. They could fight not just with weapons but with understanding, with thought and feeling. "Don't let up," Kiona shouted. "They will try again." The next wave came swiftly. Energy blasts rained down, striking the trees and the ground around the dome. Jed and Ahida directed the energy, forming spikes and walls, channeling the power through the glowing lines in the structure. The vibrations ran through Jed's arms and legs, but he did not falter. Suddenly, one scavenger vehicle broke through the edge of the dome, landing near the barn. Jed's eyes widened. "It's inside." Naeli moved quickly, drawing a small device from her belt. She pressed it to the ground, and a line of light shot out, creating a barrier between the vehicle and the barn. Sparks flew as the scavenger tried to break through. Jed's hands moved faster, tracing lines, activating more energy points. The structure hummed like a living being, responding to his thoughts, movements, and intentions. Slowly, the scavenger's vehicle began to lift, trapped by the pulsing energy. It hovered, shaking, unable to move. Ahida nodded. "Yes, you are using it as one of us." The remaining vehicles hovered at the edge of the clearing, unsure. They had underestimated humans, had underestimated the bond between Jed, the women, and the land itself. Jed took a deep breath and focused. He felt the rhythm of the land, the pulsing energy beneath his hands, and directed it toward the scavengers. Streams of light shot from the dome, hitting the vehicles. One by one, they were forced to retreat, unable to penetrate the defenses. When the last vehicle turned away, Jed fell to his knees, exhausted. The dome faded, the land quieted, and the hum beneath his boots returned to a gentle rhythm. He looked at the women. "They're gone," Kiona said. "For now." Jed wiped sweat from his brow. I never imagined humans could do this." Ahida smiled. "That is what makes us different. We think, we adapt, we connect. Machines cannot match that. Humans are special in ways the scavengers will never understand." Naeli added, "But be warned. Others will come. They will be smarter, stronger, and more determined. You must always be ready." Jed nodded slowly. "I will, I swear it." The women exchanged glances, pride and relief in their eyes. Together they had defended the land, not with weapons alone, but with understanding, ingenuity, and the bond they shared with the ranch itself. As the sun set behind the hills, Jed walked through the clearing, touching the glowing lines gently. The land had tested him today, and he had passed. The women followed silently, watching him, knowing that he had proven himself not just capable but worthy. For the first time, Jed realized something important. Humans were not just survivors. They were creators, protectors, and innovators. Alone, a man might fail, but together, with the women, with the land, they could face anything. The ranch was alive. The scavengers had learned that humans were not to be underestimated. And Jed Kane, the lonely cowboy, was no longer alone. He had allies, knowledge, and a bond with the land itself. As night fell, Jed looked up at the stars, feeling the soft pulse of energy beneath his boots. He knew this was only the beginning. The ranch had secrets still hidden, challenges still waiting, but tonight they had one, and that was enough to give him hope. The land hummed softly, almost like a whisper of approval. Jed smiled, feeling the strength of something greater than himself. He was part of it now. He belonged, and tomorrow he would face whatever came next, with courage, ingenuity, and the heart of a human. The first light of dawn stretched across the ranch, painting the hills with gold and shadow. Jedediah Kane stood on the porch, watching his horse graze quietly in the distance. The night had been peaceful for the first time in days, but he knew better than to assume that peace would last. The land beneath his boots hummed gently, a steady pulse that reminded him it was alive, aware, and waiting. Ahida joined him, carrying a basket of fresh herbs and flowers. "The land is calm for now," she said softly, "but it remembers yesterday. It will test you again." Jed nodded, adjusting his hat against the morning sun. "I'm ready. Whatever comes, we can handle it." Nayeli and Kiona appeared from the barn, carrying water and tools. The four of them walked through the clearing together, feeling the subtle energy that pulsed beneath the soil and grass. The ranch had changed over the past days. The once hidden lines of the structure now glowed softly, a network of energy connecting the hills, trees, and buildings. Jed realized that he was no longer just a visitor. He was part of this place, its guardian and student. "Today," Ahida said, "we teach you how to work with the land, not just defend it. You must learn to guide its energy, to shape it without forcing it. Only then can you truly protect it." Jed followed her into the central clearing, where the metallic structure stood like the heart of the ranch. He knelt and ran his hands along its glowing lines. The vibrations were strong but steady, pulsing like a living heartbeat. He closed his eyes and felt the energy flow through him, sensing the hills, the trees, and the streams as extensions of himself. "This is incredible," he whispered. "It feels alive, like it's listening to me." Nayeli smiled. "It is, and it trusts you. That is rare. Few humans can feel it and act without fear." Kiona placed a hand on his shoulder. "The land has chosen you because of what you are, courage, intelligence, and respect. But you must also guide others who may come seeking it. That is your duty now." Jed straightened. "I understand. I won't let it down." The women led him across the ranch, showing him hidden pathways, energy nodes, and secret chambers buried beneath hills and groves. Each place carried a different purpose. Some were for protection, others for storage, and a few held knowledge left by the ancient visitors. Jed traced his fingers along carved symbols, feeling the land respond as if recognizing his touch. "These places," Ahida said, "were built to last centuries. They were meant to teach, to protect, and to wait for humans who could understand them. We are the link between the land and its future guardians. And now, so are you." Jed felt pride rise within him, but also humility. He had wandered for years, lost and alone, never imagining he would be trusted with something so powerful. Yet the land had chosen him. The women had chosen him, and he would not fail. As the sun climbed higher, a distant hum reached their ears, a soft, almost imperceptible vibration carried by the wind. Jed paused, feeling the energy shift beneath his boots. "They are coming," Nayeli said, her eyes narrowing. Jed turned. "Who?" Ahida's gaze swept the horizon. "Others will come. Not all will be like the scavengers from before. Some will seek knowledge, some will seek power, but we are ready." Jed clenched his fists. "Then let them come, we'll protect it." The women nodded. "Together," Kiona said. Hours passed in careful preparation. Jed and the women worked side by side, connecting the energy nodes, reinforcing the protective lines, and learning to direct the land's power with precision. The ranch responded to their efforts, its energy growing stronger, brighter, and more fluid. Jed realized that humans had something the ancient machines could not understand: intuition, creativity, and a deep bond with life itself. By late afternoon, they stood in the central clearing, surveying their work. The energy dome from the previous attack had been rebuilt, stronger and more adaptable. The hills, trees, and structures were connected in a network that could respond to threats or guide the land's growth. Jed's heart swelled with pride. They had done it, not just survived, but thrived. Ahida placed a hand on his shoulder. "This is only the beginning. The land will continue to test you, but now you have the knowledge and strength to guide it. And one day you will teach others as we have taught you." Jed nodded. "I will, I promise." As evening approached, the four of them sat on the porch, watching the sun dip behind the hills. The ranch was alive, glowing softly with energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. Birds flew overhead, silhouetted against the sky, and the wind whispered through the grass. Jed felt a deep sense of peace, the kind that came from knowing he belonged somewhere, that he was part of something greater than himself. "I never thought life could be like this," Jed said, his voice quiet. "I thought I would wander forever alone, but now I'm not alone. I have you and the land, and I belong." Ahida smiled. "The land chooses carefully, Jed. It saw something in you long before you arrived. Courage, heart, respect. That is why you were allowed to stay," Naeli added, "and it will continue to choose through you and those who learn from you. Humans are rare in their ability to understand and protect what is greater than themselves." Kiona's eyes gleamed in the fading sunlight. "The future is yours if you choose to embrace it." Jed exhaled, feeling the weight of responsibility and the warmth of pride. "I choose. I will protect this ranch, this land, and everything it holds." Night fell, and the ranch became quiet. Jed walked through the clearing one last time before bed, running his hands along the glowing lines of the structure. He could feel the energy pulse gently, as if acknowledging his promise. The hills, the trees, the wind, and the stars above, they were all connected, part of a living, breathing whole that had chosen him to be its guardian. Ahita, Naeli, and Kiona joined him, standing silently beside the glowing structure. Together they formed a circle of trust, strength, and understanding. The ranch hummed beneath their feet, a reminder that life, energy, and knowledge were all alive here, waiting for humans who could respect them. "You've learned well," Ahita said softly. "But remember, this is only the beginning. Others will come seeking what you now protect. Some will be friends, some will be enemies, and each will test you in new ways." Jed nodded, feeling the truth of her words. "I'm ready. I've learned from the land, from you, and from the past. I will not fail." Naeli smiled faintly. "Then the ranch, the land, and its secrets are safe for now." Kiona added quietly, "And with humans like you, it always will be." Jed returned to his small cabin within the ranch, feeling a sense of fulfillment he had never known. The land had chosen him, the women had guided him, and together they had unlocked secrets older than memory itself. He lay under the stars, thinking about the future, about challenges, discoveries, and the possibilities that awaited humans who could see beyond the ordinary. He realized that humans were not merely survivors. They were thinkers, creators, and protectors. Their strength lay not in brute force or machines, but in their hearts, their minds, and their courage. Alone, a man might wander, but together, with allies, with knowledge, and with the land itself, they could shape worlds. Jed closed his eyes, feeling the soft pulse beneath his boots, and whispered into the night, "I will protect this land. I will guard its secrets, and I will guide others who come to learn." The ranch responded, a faint glow surrounding the hills, trees, and structures. It was alive, aware, and ready for whatever the future might bring. And Jed Kane, the lonely cowboy who had bought a ranch for $50, had finally found his place. He was no longer alone. He was part of something greater, a guardian of the land, a protector of knowledge, and a human capable of wonders beyond imagination. The stars twinkled above, the wind whispered through the grass, and the ranch waited patiently for the next adventure, knowing it was in safe hands. Jed smiled. He had found home, and tomorrow the frontier awaited.